This is Gareth Thacker, and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is just around the corner. So I thought with the 5th Ghostbusters movie coming soon, that we would take a look back at the Ghostbusters franchise. Dan Aykroyd started writing Ghostbusters after he left SNL in the early 80s. The original script for Ghostbusters was very different from what we eventually got. Originally, Ghostbusters was set in the far future, where the Ghostbusters were already an established company. But this was kind of quickly changed because, well, at the time, this might have really been impossible, and if possible, would have been highly expensive. The cast would have also been widely different, with Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and Eddie Murphy. Sadly, John Belushi passed away during the early production of Ghostbusters. Harold Ramis would replace his character. Bill Murray was brought on board, and since Eddie Murphy was unavailable at the time, they got Ernie Hudson. But all throughout the production of Ghostbusters, there was one thing that loomed over the entire production of the film. And that was the title. In 1975, there was a series called The Ghostbusters. There's even footage from the film of them saying multiple variations of the Ghostbusters title.
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Ghostbusters! Ghoststoppers! Ghostblasters!
But eventually they would get the rights to use the name Ghostbusters. Directed by Ivan Reitman, with screenplay by Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, and Ivan Reitman. Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson, and Sigourney Weaver, just to name a few. Eventually, in December of 1984, Ghostbusters would be released, and would quickly become the second highest grossing film in 1984, and was kind of a global phenomenon. So since Ghostbusters was this major phenomenon, of course it'd be a Ghostbusters 2. 6 years later, 1989, we would finally get Ghostbusters 2. But why did it take so long to get a sequel to this movie? Well, the reason is Bill Murray. Yeah, apparently Bill Murray just did not want to do Ghostbusters 2. So by the time Bill Murray was willing to return for a sequel, it was 6 years later. Directed by Ivan Reitman, with screenplay by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd. Starring the same cast from the first film. Ghostbusters 2 is an okay movie, and not a great sequel to Ghostbusters. But it was very successful. So of course it'd be a Ghostbusters 3. At least, there would have been. But, Bill Murray. Like with Ghostbusters 2, Bill Murray was very adamant on not returning for Ghostbusters 3. And this time he stuck with it. Ghostbusters 3 took 32 years to happen. But before we get to that film, we gotta look at Ghostbusters 2016. Now I'm not gonna go into why the Ghostbusters 2016 remake is bad. That's been done plenty enough on the internet. So let's just talk about why this remake happened in the first place. This was announced in 2015, after the death of Harold Ramis in 2014. Directed by Paul Feig, with screenplay by Paul Feig and Kate Diploid. Starring Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, and Chris Hemsworth, just to name a few. Now, we don't know this, but this movie was panned by critics and audiences, and bumped to the box office. So after whatever that was, Sony finally realized Ghostbusters 3 needed to happen. And in 2021, we would get Ghostbusters Afterlife. It may took 32 years, but better late than never. Directed by Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, with screenplay by Gil Keane and Jason Reitman. Starring Paul Rudd, McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, and a large majority of the original Ghostbusters cast, and was a critical and financial success. It seems like Afterlife has begun a new era of Ghostbusters, which is where we are now. On March 22nd, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire will be released. But there was something I noticed while making this video, and that is that Ghostbusters is the biggest, but also smallest franchise. Ghostbusters is a big franchise, with Frozen Empire likely pushing this franchise over to $1 billion. But you never really see Ghostbusters mentioned as a franchise. People usually just refer to the first film and don't really talk about the other ones. Unless you're a video like this trip just talking about Ghostbusters as a franchise. But let the comments below, what do you guys think about the Ghostbusters franchise? And are you excited for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? Bye guys for now! Bye bye, Gareth Thacker.
We're the best! We're the beautiful! We're the only Ghostbusters!